My name is Patrick Clapp. I'm the co-founder of Coffeestamp Roaster, along with my brother, Spencer Clapp. My coffee journey started where I was born and raised. I'm originally from Honduras with my brother. We moved to the United States about 9 years ago, 5 years ago to St. Louis City, and we always had dream about having a business together. And thanks to some of our childhood friends, we were experiencing the coffee journey very early in our lives. But the idea of Coffeestamp was born with the intention of exporting our childhood friends coffee. Max and Miguel, they're the owners, third generation farmers of Finca Alondra. That's our main coffee here at Coffeestamp. And we started in conversation back like 4 or 5 years ago, but Coffeestamp was born in 2018 with the idea of roasting coffee with intention behind it. What makes me passionate about coffee, it's everything about it, from where it's grown to final destination inside a cup. Thankfully, I was born and raised in a non-traditional coffee space, like, Tegucigalpa and surrounding areas is not very famous for coffee, but where we grew up, it had enough altitude to produce coffee. So I'll say where it grows it's where it drives me crazy about it, and the taste and the culture behind it, the people and all the factors involved in the supply chain from pickers to baristas. What makes hand-picked coffee so special will be all the effort you gotta put on it. Most of the coffee is hand-picked around the world, except for some growing areas like Brazil and Vietnam, where it's flatland, so they use equipment and then quality slow. People don't realize, a coffee cup, it takes about 36 beans, and each bean have 2 parts. And every cherry you'll find 2 beans. So imagine how many cherries you gotta pick to make a good pound of coffee. So starting from there, the peak of the coffee is super important, because just like in wine, you want to make sure the grape is ripe enough so the sugar concentrated inside the pulp translates to the flavor inside the bean. So for us, making sure every coffee we serve is traceable, just for not only quality but ethic purposes as well, is super important. What I love about roasting the coffee pretty much is the final step before brewing. So you have so much control on the coffee for making it light to medium, and or whatever taste you think is better sweet for the profile of the coffee. What it makes it special is think about all the hard work people put on picking the coffee, drying the coffee, transporting the coffee to the dry mill, and then all the exportation process behind. So at the end, the roaster is the one in charge to make sure all the hard work from the people in the region is translated to a good cup of coffee. So 3 main keys on coffee is the char temperature when you drop the coffee, the weight on the batch you're gonna do. That's gonna affect the roast time, and based on the roast time, it's gonna affect the flavor of it. Now this is just a seasoning roasting, is what we call, to season the drum of the roasters to avoid any flavor after it's been cleaned.
Okay.
And that's it. Then we got around 8 minutes. It's gonna start changing color to yellow, and then from yellow, it's gonna start developing. Once the water is saturated inside the bean, what's gonna happen? We're gonna hear a crack, just like in popcorn. That's when the chemistry happens in the coffee bean. So we're gonna lose water content in the bean, and the bean
It's gonna lose weight, but it's gonna gain density. That means the green coffee is gonna expand almost sometimes as double the regular size. So we'll check it out when they come out. Immediately, you can tell it's a different cherry. Like, you know, on sizes, it's almost as double the size. That means, you know, with one bean is denser than the other one. That means one is high altitude, meaning the coffee takes longer time to rip the cherry, meaning the cherry itself is gonna have more sugar, and the coffee bean itself is gonna have more flavor. And then you go to other factors like soil, you know, shades and all that stuff, drying process, how many defects you remove from the coffee, and all these details, you know, pay back at the end of the cup.
For me, balance between body, sweetness, acidity, and aftertaste. So, you know, some components you gotta look behind the cup of coffee you're drinking. Like, you know, some coffee will be more tart and acidity, so that will make it less balanced if they have less sugar on the bean. So it depends. Like in the morning, you want something that you can just drink, balance it, or maybe in the afternoon, you want something more tart acidity, like a natural processed coffee. So I just like new flavors. Like it amazes me every time I roast a coffee and then I do the cupping, and then I find all these super interesting notes. At the end, coffee is one of the most complex food on the world. You can find so many aromas and flavors from it, and that's what makes it special. The stamp on Coffeestamp means that the idea of coffee being grown on super remote part of the world, and then, for example, sometimes we will get some coffee from Uganda, and then we were gonna roast it here in St. Louis, United States. And then a friend from Canada will ask me for some of that coffee, and then the coffee will end on Canada. So it's the idea of all the stops and trial that the coffee makes that put the stamp on Coffeestamp. My favorite way to brew coffee is pour over. It's simple and makes a great cup of coffee. I just like all the ritual behind, from getting the coffee ground to the pre-warm of the basil and getting wet the paper, then, you know, throw a little water to make the coffee degas and feel more aromas till, you know, finish it up. The important behind brewing your own coffee is you can do a lot of different ways to extract the coffee, from French press to AeroPress and all these new extraction methods. But it's really important to do it yourself, because you can adjust the ground size, you can adjust the filtration system to extract different notes on your coffee. So once you brew your own, kind of like you understand what you like and how you like it. And there's something about your birthplace, you know, the childhood memories. They say, like, you know, childhood memories is like the happiest part of your life till you're old and realize that was the best day. So yeah, of course, there are always nostalgia and feelings for it. Do I call St. Louis home? Of course I do call St. Louis my home. We have been 5 years here, and since day one, people, you know, receive me well. We have great community, not only around our coffee, but, you know, making friends and just realizing how strong the community sense is in St. Louis for each neighborhood, or just as a city in general. Roasting in St. Louis at beginning of 2018 for practices and tasting, not even for business purposes. I drove 8 hours to Wisconsin to get my roaster, and we got a hookup and we started practicing. But Coffeestamp as business was born on February of 2018. We started roasting in a second floor of an old building in the Fox Park neighborhood. We were just doing a small operation between my brother and I, where we sell coffee online, ship it nationwide, and do farmers market. We were doing that for almost a year and a half till we had the opportunity to rent a space below us, the first floor of the building we were already renting. And that's when, you know, we were like, we gotta take it. You know, it was like how you say, it's opportunities that you get in your life and you decide to take it or not. We didn't have money, we didn't have anything, but we knew we wanted to do it. So at the end of 2019, we started working on the plan to get that space and start our cafe. So we went along that process till March, where we get approved for a financial loan, and of course pandemic happened, and then we just renewed our first floor for almost 4 or 5 months, and then back in August 2020 we opened doors for Coffeestamp Cafe on the Foxford neighborhood. Opening a business on a pandemic, I can imagine it's over challenging. I never opened up a business without pandemic, so definitely I don't have that experience. Now, from build out, getting materials, contractors, and just stuff in the middle of pandemic, it was difficult, but I guess the most difficult part was the psychological part, you know, investing all this time, money, resources into something you were not 100% sure it was gonna even open because, of course, restrictions due to pandemic. But you know, there's only one way you can see a thing like that, and it's, you know, keep it going forward. And that's what we did. We were on lockdown, working in the place ourselves, and in August there were some restrictions lift up, and after getting our health department approval, we opened right away because, yeah, we kind of like needed. We were in a tough financial position, so we had to open and happen, and community supported like from day one to a year later today. Renovating a business, an old building for opening a business is challenging. The design, it was simple. We wanted to highlight the rustic old part of the building. When we took the first floor, it looked like an office, vinyl flooring, hanging ceiling, drywall everywhere. This building has been around for over 100 years, so we wanted to highlight that part of the rustic industrial part. So behind that, all the work was focused on details on the building, from exposing bricks to getting exposed a conveyor belt that is a very interesting part of this building, to creating a bathroom, for example. You know, there's all these details you gotta put into mind. When you don't have the research to go through all the contracting and you gotta do all the work yourself, it gets challenging, but there's nothing you can do with two hands, you know, and you need to be this kind of. What excites me more about Coffeestamp present and future is the community we're building around, like seeing all these faces coming back, starting on the second floor or just having a meeting. Like, you know, we missed all this part in the first year where we didn't even have seating, and we're looking forward to create great things in St. Louis. Hopefully, you know, another location soon, and start our process to operating a little farming there.